My name is Councilmember Jamie Gaudier. I represent the 3rd District, which includes much of West and Southwest Philadelphia. And I'm so glad that this announcement this morning is taking place at Sadiq's Water Ice, a quintessential West Philly business. And I'm even more glad that this promising effort is being piloted here in our community. I want to take an opportunity to thank all of our partners who are a part of this announcement. District Attorney Krasner, who has been a crucial partner for criminal justice efforts in West Philadelphia and across the city. Lamar Stewart of the District Attorney's Office's Community Engagement Team. My council colleagues, Council Members Curtis Jones, Kendra Brooks, and Isiah Thomas. And our colleagues in the State House, Representatives Joanna McClinton and Morgan Cephas, along with Reverend Myra Maxwell, the Director of CARES, and Mr. Stanley Crawford, the founder of the Black Male Community Council, and so many others. As we head into the height of summer, a summer that's expected to be unusually hot, and we're facing dramatically reduced programming for our youth, finding solutions to gun violence in our neighborhoods becomes more pressing than ever. And that's why the collaborative being announced here today is incredibly timely. And with that, I'd like to give it over to District Attorney Krasner to tell you more about this effort.
Thank you very much, Council Member, and thank you to all of the elected officials, some of Philly's visionary leaders who, frankly, I'm honored to be able to be with. But we need to remember something, which is that our power as elected officials comes from the people. Always has, always will. That being the case, I'm going to go out of order just a little bit. I'm going to ask Mr. Stanley Crawford to come forward after I speak, because he speaks to the experience of what gun violence actually means in the community. Its terrifying consequences that we can only experience secondhand, but he has experienced firsthand. Let me say a few things, if I may, about the Gun Crime Strategies and Prevention Collaborative. We are extremely excited about this collaborative with our criminal justice partners, especially the Philadelphia Police Department. Much of this on our end started as a conversation pretty much as soon as our new police commissioner arrived, about some tactics that were used in Chicago that involved the placement of assistant district attorneys in individual police stations or individual districts. The commissioner has taken to that idea, among many other good ideas that are coming from the DPD. She has taken to that idea in a way that is more sweeping than in Chicago, is more immediate than in Chicago, and we are very hopeful that it can be a small part of the kind of solutions they are seeing in Chicago, where murders and shootings have been down almost 20% over a couple of years from a peak, from a very frightening peak that they had before. Let me talk to you in concrete terms, if I may. I'm going to read some names, and these are names of assistant district attorneys. These are prosecutors from the DA's office, and also community liaison workers, because the connection between the community, building the community, and also enforcement is absolutely crucial to any intelligent and modern approach to reducing gun violence. There are 6 divisions, and so I will ask these ADAs to step forward so that you can see them, you can know who they are, you can understand that we have boots on the ground and we're trying to get it done. In the Central Police Division, we have ADA Megan McDonald, and we have ADA Fernell Jackson. Mr. Jackson is only slightly taller than ADA McDonald. And we also have Liaison Rayshawn Abdallah. In the Northwest Police Division, we have ADA Christian Wynn and ADA Allison Neville. We have Liaison Rayshawn Abdallah. In the East Police Division, we have ADA Michael McFarland and ADA Priscilla Pelly, along with Liaison Andriana Bearfield. In the Northeast Police Division, ADA David Osborne, who could not be here today, and ADA Catherine Wood, along with Liaison Andriana Bearfield. In the South Police Division, his beard newly shorn, we have ADA James Lafferty, who I almost didn't see with his mask because I didn't see a beard sticking out below it. And we have ADA India James Flemister, as well as, I'm sorry, did I mispronounce that, Flemister?
Got it correct.
I got it? Well, ADA India James Flemister, and Liaison Seth Myers. In the Southwest Police Division, finally, we have Zachary Wincoop and ADA Kwambina Coker, with Liaison Seth Myers. The work that these folks will be doing is at the core of the Gun Crime Strategies and Prevention Collaborative. You'll notice the word prevention is in there. Prevention is in there for a reason. A lot of the traditional law enforcement techniques that have been used have done two things. They have diluted enforcement against serious crimes. Murders, shootings, illegal possession of weapons has been diluted by spending time on much less serious offenses. If you're going to spend all your time on turnstile jumping and possession of marijuana, then you don't have the resources and the focus to deal with the most serious crimes. But the other thing that has been so damaging in how we have approached gun violence in the past has been traumatization of neighborhoods, not just by the gun violence, but also by techniques such as illegal stop and frisk, such as driving while black, which have driven a wedge between the community and law enforcement who hope to serve them.
Simple answer. Wait, hey, wait. It'll stop a lot of this.
All right, I will get to that, sir.
Simple answer.
And there is
Make it
no
work a while.
Yes, and there is no question economics play a key role in this. But let me say this, the most important thing that we can do is build community at the same time as we are also focusing law enforcement. If you shoot people, you need to be in jail. If you kill people, you need to be in jail. The record of this office now and the record moving forward will make it very clear that you can decarcerate.
Until you raise it up, it's going to be the same thing.
That you can decarcerate for non-serious offenses, which improves society, it improves prevention, while you simultaneously save the necessary hammer of law enforcement for those who are killing and hurting other people. We stand with victims of gun violence, we stand with law enforcement in their efforts to rein it in, and we stand with community building and prevention that are ultimately the surest long-term solution to all of this. So let me just hit a few points and then I will get out of the way, as they say in church. Part of our effort here has been to seek high bail for people who are involved in shootings, for people who are involved in extremely serious crimes. And we've done that because the cash bail system has failed us. The cash bail is often too low for the most serious and the most dangerous, and it is too high for people who have been involved in minor offenses that don't require us to have them in jail. We can't have this in a pandemic. We can't have this if we want to fund our public schools properly, which is where real prevention comes from. So we've been trying to do that, and we look forward to a little more help from our friends in the judiciary who are used to doing things a certain way. That involves middling bails that put too many poor people who haven't done anything that bad in jail, and too many dangerous people who've done really bad stuff out because they have the money to be able to afford it. Since we all know there is a correlation between lucrative drug dealing and fights over turf that involve gun violence, we also know that some of the people who are involved in the greatest amount of violence have some resources. And we need to move, as they have in DC, to a system where you're either held or you're not. And the issue is not money. The issue is your danger to the community, among other points. We tremendously support gun violence victims and co-victims. We will be hearing from Mr. Crawford in just a moment. Reverend Myra Maxwell will speak a little bit later about CARES, which is the Philadelphia DA's effort, a grant-funded effort to have people who are advocates for families of homicide victims during the first 45 days. This is the brainchild of Movita Johnson Morell, who brought in the money, whose idea it was, but it carries on, and it carries on in a very, very helpful fashion to families. We expect more funding. We hope for it to go on. At 45 days, these families are turned over to our victim witness coordinators in the office for services, but it has helped, and it makes them safer, and it makes them more whole at a time when they're being crushed by grief. Finally, I do want to mention that community engagement and crime prevention intervention includes our one-stop job and resource hub. Monthly, we go all over the city. Obviously not right now, but monthly we have gone all over the city. We hope to get back to it very steadily, and we offer all kinds of services for everyone. Re-entering people coming out of jail, victims, people in the community who are at risk of becoming involved in crime or are at risk of being victimized. There are a litany of services, employment options there. This is the way you stop crime. You get people J-O-B-S. You get people H-E-L-P. You get them what they need, and that is how you stop crime. All right, at this point, I am going to step out of the way, as they say, and I'm going to ask that Mr. Stanley Crawford would come forward. We had hoped that Anita Williams, the mother of Samaj Obranti, another victim of gun violence, could be here. She cannot, so I'm going to ask Mr. Crawford to take his few minutes, and maybe one or two of hers, and explain his perspective on the real impact of gun violence, the reason we're all really here.
My name is Stanley Crawford. Most people call me Brother Stanley. And I'd like to thank the DA for inviting me to be a part of this press conference. Just to share with the public that might not know, my son was murdered September the 8th, 2018, while he was on his way to my daughter, his sister's house. It shot him once in the right temple, once in the right jaw, and once in the right chest. She comes down from the step, which was a little ways down, and see her brother, my son, laying there, for all intents and purposes, dead with blood coming out of his brain. And I have a big family. I have a huge family. And it wasn't until this murder occurred to me and my family that I started understanding that when we see on the news of a murder occurring, it's not just that one person that they show on the news, it's a rippling effect that goes throughout the whole family. And even to this very day, my daughter, as if it happened yesterday. And as I looked and seen what was occurring, it put on my spirit to create or to found the Black Male Community Council of Philadelphia. And what I started looking at, we the black men in the city of Philadelphia, where most of these murders is occurring at, and it's our family members, it put on my spirit to ask a call out. Over 200 men came, and we started hitting the grounds from there. We got a campaign of boots on the ground, and we be out in 3 hot spots right now, hoping to expand it to more. But the most important thing about this particular press conference is the experience that led up to the arrest of the person who killed my son. It was a process of 20-something months, and with the help of the DA Larry Krasner, and I got to give a shout out to Detective Parecchio in the Philadelphia Police Department. I was very,
bring it home, people too.
Yeah, I was very impatient at one point. But when the arrest occurred, it was like a weight lifted off of my shoulder, my family's shoulder. So I know how it's important for us to have a collaboration with the police department, with the DA office, if we want to stop this murder. It's not one that's going to do it. It's going to take all of us to work together. And as a result of that right now, that person who killed my son and 3 other people, loved ones, is no longer on the streets to commit murder and mayhem. And one of my contingency is, or our contingency is, we, specifically in the black community, got to come together and work together because it's our family members that's constantly going into the grave. And if we really care, especially to the black men, if you really care, you have to come out of these edifices, you have to come out of these safe zones, these shallows, and come out and join those like the DA, the police commissioner. And I have to give a shout out to the police commissioner. She was an integral part in helping bring that person arrest that killed my son and 3 other people. So what am I saying? We as the black community got to come together, work together with all of these other entities so we can solve the murders that's taking place. There's another thing, and I ain't gonna be long. If we allow these murderers to continue walk with no consequences, they continue murdering, and a lot of us know who they are, and we have to be able to come together and work together in a safe way to identify them, and let's bring them to justice. That's why I think what the DA is doing with this collaborative and working together so we can make Philadelphia a safe city again. Because it was my son on September the 8th, 2018, and it could be your son tomorrow. Thank you.
Next, we'll hear from my council colleague, Councilmember Curtis Jones.
Could I please have my colleagues, both at the state level and at the city level, come close, because nothing gets done by yourself. I stand here and I look a little sad because the reminder is that at 16 years old, I was going to a social. Some of you are too young to know what a social was, but it's a party. And somebody came out of a driveway, shot into a crowd, and killed the young lady that was with me. That story would have ended right there, but I wound up being a survivor of it, and I got elected. One of my first calls was to Tustin Playground, where a kid had been shot. And I looked through the crowd to see who was there, and the father that was with the kid that was also a part of the whole scene, but there was a lady there, and it was the lady of the sister that was murdered 20 years ago. And what it brought home clearly to me, that some of this stuff has been generational. We tried to arrest our way out of it. The brother was yelling, jobs, jobs, jobs. It is true, true, true. Education is also a part of it. And all of these are links in a chain that hold our community down. That hold our community down. One of the reasons I applaud the district attorney, because he's not shackled to the old way of doing things. He's looking at a vision that may well go to the root of what the issues are. The reason I ask my colleagues to be a part of it is truly appropriate that the day after groundbreaking legislation was passed, reforming how criminal justice is done in the city of Philadelphia, here we are dealing with the other shoe to fall, which is the violence we cannot escape. So what I want to say is, as vigorously as we have fought to bring police reform and how to deal with not over incarceration and dealing with over policing, we need to deal with our own mirror image of the violence that sometimes, a lot of times, is perpetrated by people who look like each other. So we can't escape that. We will not ignore that. I want to give a shout out to my sister who brought these pinpoint programs here, had the vision to do so. Movita, I'm talking to you, right? I'm thankful for what you were able to plant that seed, and these individuals that stand here today are benefiting from that fruit. So shukran. All right, that's what I got to say. So, you know, when we first came here, we had a group called the Freshmen. There's a new group, and they are ambitious visionaries that aren't afraid to do things differently. One of them I have the honor of bringing before you. Her name is Kendra Brooks. And there is not another member more passionate. All right, come on now. You know, everybody has their superpowers. But nobody can out-passion Kendra Brooks, and I'm proud to call her colleague. I'm going to introduce to some and reacquaint to others, Councilmember Kendra Brooks.
Thank you so much to my colleagues and everyone here. You know, when we think about what's next here for our city, you know, I think about my path to politics. I came from being a community organizer on the street with Stanley and so many other people talking about gun violence in our communities, like what's happening to our children. We talk about over-policing and all of these things that are happening directly in our community. But we also realize that in order for us to have the city we need, not only do we need to unite as a community to build what it looks like to have a better, safe neighborhood, we also need to be in relationships with our officers. You know, I'm at the 35th District and I work very closely with Officer Lukaitis. You know, whether it's events for our seniors, whether it's movie nights in the park or on the block, or just a presence when we need a presence. But the most important thing we have to realize as community, these are our children, these are our streets, these are our brothers, sisters, mothers that are out here on both sides, whether you're the victim or the offender. These are our people. And what does that look like for us? We have to not be afraid. We have to not be afraid to talk to your kids, talk to your cousins, talk to your brothers about what it looks like for grandma to feel like she could walk to the corner store and get an ice cream. You know, what does it mean for your young children to be able to walk to school every day and feel safe? You know, and we have to do this together. You know, so someone earlier mentioned about the rallying cry for our brothers. And we've seen our brothers standing up more and more, and I want to salute them for that. Because in a time like this, it's time for them to take their rightful place. And I also want to tell our sisters, it's our turn to stand up and support the work that our brothers are doing to make sure our communities are safe. And we can't do it without each other. So it's going to take all of us. Our youth, our young people, we can't leave them out, because their vision for what a future looks like is very different from ours. My vision for what this city looks like was very different than that of my mother's. So we have to do that collectively, and that's what it means to build community. Everyone needs to have a seat at the table. I'm talking about our elementary school kids, because we can't tell them what it's like to walk these streets to school every day while mom and dad are at work. We can't tell our teenagers what it's like when their friends are being the victim and the offender, and we're telling them to step up and talk about it. We have to do things differently, and this is the time. So I salute the effort in bringing everyone at the table, the community, law enforcement, the DA's office, the public defender. We have to save our communities together, and this is the first step in doing so. Thank you so much. I'm sorry. Now I get to introduce one of my freshman team, and also my bro. We go way, way, way back from the crib. He probably hates when I say that, but I remember him way, way before. And I'm proud to stand with him now in City Council. I want to introduce Council Member Isiah Thomas.
Thank you everybody for being here today, for being a part of this important message that we want to send to the citizens of Philadelphia. Again, my name is Councilmember Isiah Thomas. I appreciate my colleagues, Councilmember Jones and Councilmember Green, who are phenomenal examples and mentors for somebody who's just gotten into office, as well as my freshman colleagues, Councilmember Gaudier and Councilmember Brooks, who are just on fire. And just, you know, I thought I was in good shape, but they hard to keep up with. Prior to coming into City Council, I was a teacher. I've taught everything from undergrad down to kindergarten. Coach high school basketball, and actually still coach high school basketball. I'm the president of the Coaches Association for the Public League for boys basketball. And it's a hat that I wear proudly, but unfortunately when you look at this lens of gun violence, it's a hat that comes with a lot of emotions. I heard someone talk about 2018. In 2018, I remember running the all-pub game, and I had one of my former coaches, his name is Mr. Heimerdinger, he's a teacher at Fells now. He came up to me and he had a kid who didn't make all public that year, but he was a senior. He was still looking to go play college basketball. And Mr. Heimerdinger, who almost never does this, he asked for a favor. He said, Isiah, can you make sure that this kid, his name is Tamir, gets into the all pub game? He didn't go all pub, he got robbed, it's a whole nother story, but he deserves the opportunity. And so coming from Heimerdinger, I didn't even need to see the kid play. If that's what you're saying, coach, the kid will be in. And so we went on to the all-pub practice. We had a great practice. I got an opportunity to meet the kid, not intentional, but he came to me and he just displayed great character. And he really wanted to get on my chosen league team. If you're from uptown, and sorry, West Philly, but if you're from uptown, you know that's like a premier high school league for the young people in the city. And so his goal was to get on my team. And I'm like, I don't know about all that, but you know, we'll see. And so eventually I let the kid on my team because of his character, not because of his game. And 24 hours before the Chosen League was able to start, 48 hours, Tamir was killed. He was killed. He was at the wrong place, the wrong time, with the wrong person, and he was killed. And so a year later, I'm on my way home, and I see on the back of a car, it says Tamir Sproul. So I'm like, wow, I wonder who car this is. All right, so I wait to find out who car it is, and come to find out it's Tamir's dad.